Jesus is coming back to the temple, and people have not forgotten about what happened yesterday. Most likely, the merchants had been complaining a lot to the high priest and the chief priests. Uh, they didn't like to be kicked out from the temple. They had paid their franchise. They deserved to work. And actually, this guy is just, you know, messing up everything for them. This year, they won't be able to make the money that they expected during this high season. But also, we need to remember that these merchants were not isolated. They were citizens of Jerusalem, and they had friends, they had family. Everybody knew everybody there. It was not such a big city. So there's probably a lot of people very angry with Jesus. And now he's coming back and he's going to be teaching in the temple. So the chief priests decide to tackle the problem, and they are waiting for him with some of the elders, some of the scribes. The first thing that they do when they see Jesus is they question his authority. Say, under what authority do you do what you're doing? And most likely they're referring to what he did the previous day. And well, we know the answer that Jesus gave, that they couldn't uh, reply, right? Talking about the authority of John. So, but this kind of sets up the scene for what's going to happen. Now, almost 2,000 years later, we read about the teachings that he gave in that day and that occasion, and they're so profound. We have some of the best parables that he shared. He talked about marriage. He talked about the Great Commandment. He also taught about the clever answer about the tribute, right? To give Caesar what is Caesar, so to give God what is God. So everything seems to be so profound, so spiritual. But yeah, that's not what was happening there. So there's probably people shouting, insulting, plotting, and in general, there's a rejection toward Jesus. But still, some disciples are around him. People are still curious about what he's teaching. Some of this halo that he got when he entered Jerusalem 2 days ago, not that far ago, is still there. People are still curious. Now, John gives us a little glimpse about these followers, and he says that Jesus didn't trust them because they follow him because of the miracles. And it's similar to what happened after he fed uh, several thousand of them in the past, that they started following him because of the food and not because of, following the Messiah or learning the gospel. So the same thing happens now. Jesus doesn't trust them. He sees them as very shallow followers. They're just interested in the immediate results and not in the spiritual delivery that he is bringing. But in this setting, several groups of people approach Jesus with different intentions, most of them trying to entrap him. So we have first the Pharisees coming with some questions that Jesus answers, and they were all trying to. So we have to think this from a political point of view. You have the Pharisees, you have the Sadducees, you have the Herodians, and everybody wanted something different, but mostly they wanted to see if they could use Jesus. Now, if Jesus were after popularity, he could have used that. He could have managed his way into all these groups and gain more power. But that's exactly the opposite of what he did. He offended them one by one. So first the Pharisees, then when the Sadducees see that the Pharisees were humiliated, then they come up and they try their part. They get humiliated on their side. Then out of the blue, Jesus starts criticizing the scribes. And so everybody was kind of very, very angry and mad at Jesus. And then, he starts getting gloomy and doomy about the temple that is going to be destroyed. Now the people who were proud to be Jew and proud to, uh, to have a king and to have a city, and they're already envisioning the rebellion against the Romans and becoming, like uh, David's kingdom or Solomon's kingdom again. And they hear their leader just talking about how everything's going to be destroyed and how things will be awful for all his followers. Not only the temple, but the whole Jerusalem, and people will be trapped and will have to leave. Things that actually happen, and some of them that actually refer to things that are going to happen also in the future, not before his second coming. So this is where we are. Jesus finally leaves the temple, leaves the city, talks with his disciples on the way, and he goes all the way back to Bethany. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about what happened, but we can already start seeing the circle shrinking, right? So going from the hundreds of thousands of people accepting Jesus as their leader, and now he's slowly shrinking. Until when? Well, we will see. So that will be for today. See you tomorrow. Bye.